Welcome back, everyone. We are here again. This is Mondays with Micah. I have two lovely ladies. They are a team here today. I have to tell you how we met. As you know, we will just do a little prompt here. We are coffee drinkers. And so I was downtown at the storehouse that I frequent, and it was a quieter day in the shop, in the store, and these two lovely ladies came in right after me, or before. I don't remember. I think no, it was before, because she fixed your drinks first. And so as she was working on fixing my drink, I said, I'm just gonna take these coffees to them. And they didn't really know why I was doing that. But something kind of prompted me to do it. And then in the short conversation, I said, are either one of you a widow? And they're like, how did you know that? Yeah. We actually both are. And I'm like, I kind of have a sixth sense about this. And we didn't really get each other's numbers. And then we ran into each other again in the storehouse. And I said, I need your numbers now, because this is not a coincidence that we're running into each other again. So I want you to meet Debra and Linda, and they are going to tell you a little bit of their story, and we're just going to have a conversation. And but the one thing that was the most surprising is your age. Can you please tell us how old you are and how many grandchildren and everything you have?
Oh my goodness. I'm 82. And I have 20 grandchildren and 25 great-grandchildren.
I mean, that is amazing, right? Then and there, I was already surprised, shocked. It already shows such a rich heritage that she has. And then, Deborah, what about you?
I have 2 children. I have 4 grandchildren. And that's it. They're all mostly local. One grandson is in Texas. The rest are here.
And how old are you?
I am 68.
68. And you became a widow?
2.5 years ago.
And you became a widow?
It'll almost be May 21st.
Okay. And how long were you both married?
I was married for 27 years, but we were together for 30.
53 and a half.
53 and a half years. So there's over 80 years of relationship within these ladies here. And we just had a simple conversation, and what I found out is that they are one of their tools to getting back out there. And here at the Widow Walk, we like to, our mission and our theme statement is that you have a new start for you have a new finish. That once that marriage chapter closes, there is a little bit of this, what do I do now?
Yes.
Who am I? What do I want to do with my time?
That's right.
And do I have any hobbies I want to take up that I used to do and I didn't have the time for anymore, and I want to pick those back up? Who are we now in this season of life? And that's just a few of the questions. There's a lot more questions that start unraveling. Did that happen for you?
Oh yeah. The first year I did exactly what they tell you not to do. And I went and bought an RV in a resort in North Carolina on a lake. Had a friend that lived there, and I wanted to escape.
Yes.
So I went there.
That's great for you.
I know, but it was awesome. The RV would look like a condo. It didn't look like an RV. It was awesome. Everybody there was really nice. And it was my place to go and grieve. So I went once a month.
Wow.
And I would stay for the whole weekend. Sometimes every now and then I'd go twice a month. And, I have a friend that I used to work with there. She and I would get together. And, we would just hang out. And after about 10 months of it, I said, it's time for me to get home and start working on myself and working on home again. Because I had gotten past the initial grief, and I was like, what am I doing? I need to sell this place.
Wow.
It was a lot to go back and forth to.
Right.
So I sold it. I did make a profit,
Awesome.
And, then I started getting myself together at home, and, I had gained a lot of weight, taking care of my husband, and, who passed from cancer. And, kind of let myself go. And then I had decided that, you know, I had tried everything on my own. So I had the bariatric surgery, had gastric sleeve. I'm down almost 60 pounds.
Wow.
And I work out 6
Good.
times a week at the Y. And that's where I met Linda.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
you know, and, you know, my house, I mean, I do everything in my house that I can do on my own. I told you I floated a new bathroom ceiling and sanded and primed and painted, and I've painted almost every room in the house, you know, and what I can't do, I have to hire to do.
Right.
But, you know.
But more of it you can than can't.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I figure out how.
That's right.
Yeah.
And thankfully for YouTube, you know, there's these videos now that can kind of
That's how I figured out how to do it.
take you step by step on things that in the past years of our life, if you didn't have the manual, you really couldn't do it. And now there is that. My dryer went out, and this summer the element, the heating element, and I really did not want to buy a new dryer.
Right.
And my dad was a farmer for 30 years. They're mechanics, you know.
Yeah.
And so he went and found the part and
Good.
came over here, and it took about 4 hours to take the thing apart to get in this basic thing. And he did step by step on that YouTube video, and it's been working for the last 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And so
You can't beat that.
what would have, that was a $50 expense.
I was going to say,
Yes.
one thing I would suggest, if anybody that owns a home, is to keep a home warranty on your home. Because I used to
Oh,
be a
absolutely.
realtor for years, and my husband was one for many years, along with his regular job. And that has saved me. I mean, even though it's an expense monthly,
Yes.
it has paid for itself times
Over and time.
Yes.
And I am a real estate agent as well, and so I can speak into that. And this is a good this time of year is a good time. So a home warranty can cost you about $600 to $700. That's once a year payment if you want to pay it at one time, or you can do a monthly.
Yeah, I do a monthly one.
And what does that cover? It can cover, you can get additional coverage on certain things, but basically the major appliances in your house.
Yeah, or the systems, like the AC.
The heating
and all that.
systems,
Right.
it can even cover a well and some of those things as well. And so what happens is you pay a trip fee, and then they come and typically will come out and either fix or replace those
exactly.
items.
Yep.
And I know that with the heat pump in particular, they'll give you about $2,500 towards a new unit. So they don't fully replace it, but they will cover.
They did replace mine before they went to that.
Okay. So she's
my
had
whole upstairs one was replaced.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. But,
How about
3
air
years ago.
conditioners?
Now, well, yeah, I mean, central air is covered.
Right.
But you can buy additional coverage
right.
for it
Right.
to cover the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay.
You know.
And and the additional coverage is like $20 to $30. I mean, so it's minimal the amount for what it covers. Typically in houses, when a new buyer purchases one, they do it in the first year because that's the more common way it's done.
Yes.
But I know many homeowners who continued their coverage
Right.
after that
Right.
and have been very thankful for the benefit of it. So
it has saved me thousands of dollars.
So
I mean,
that's here is just another little tip. This is a widow's tip where it brings peace of mind about things. And even recently I talked to a widow, and she said that she got an alarm system after her husband passed.
I do too.
Okay, I also have an alarm system. And that actually happened as a door-to-door salesman walking up while my husband was still alive. And it was a 5-year commitment. And I said, why do we need this? And I was so thankful
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
when he passed suddenly that we had that alarm system.
Oh, me too.
And then the actual sign outside, it wasn't ADT, it said Guardian on it. And yes. And these were the simple little nods, these God winks of like, you're taken care of, okay? You're going to be taken care of. So we just want to encourage you right here, right now, that these simple steps. Did you have a security system before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because he traveled a lot.
Okay.
He worked out of town.
Okay.
We were
And you got yours.
We talked about it, but it wasn't done. My nephew actually has his own hardwired.
Yes.
It's called Duncan Wire Solutions or
Okay.
something like that. Anyway, I paid him to come and do mine. 'Cause
Okay.
I wanted a hardwired system.
Okay.
You know, so I wanted the monitor and I wanted to be able
Right.
to see it whenever and
Right.
not worry about it going out.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
So there is more fancy versions of it. Mine is Wi-Fi kind of contingent, but it does handle glass and carbon monoxide and all those things. So, and it goes off. I'm kind of a little bit of a joke here locally because I'm not the best at frying food, and so
gosh.
mine goes off anytime I cook. And I said, "Here's the message, Micah: stop eating pork because pork is greasy, and it's causing not a grease fire, but enough smoke to set my alarm off."
Yeah. You need to open the window.
Yes, and so they've come 2 to 3 times. They're like, "What are you cooking today, Mike?" And I said, "Just some bacon the first time, and then the second time was some fried green tomatoes." And the grease just got too
hot.
too much smoke. So I've since started to bake it in the oven, and that has been a better solution for me.
Good.
So that's a simple little thing that's happened here at the Hunterdale Fire Department about Micah's baking and Micah's cooking or lack of cooking skills, frying skills. So anyway, but back to you met at the Y.
Yes, we met at the Y.
What classes are you taking?
I'm taking 6 different classes right now. I take Mixed Fit, which is a very fun dance exercise class. I do that on Monday nights. Then Linda and I both take Stretch, Bend, and Move on Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings. And then I take Tuesday and Thursday nights, I do advanced weight training.
Okay.
And then on Wednesdays, we both do a boot camp.
Wow.
And then she does additional classes that I don't do.
Yeah, like on Monday and Friday.
Tell her what you do.
Monday and Friday we do weights and it's kind of aerobics. And then Tuesday and Thursday is stretch and bend, and Wednesday's boot camp. So I try to do all 5
days of the week.
Yeah.
Now, what do you feel? What was the transformation from getting in there? You know,
I had never been before.
Okay, so this was new.
Oh yes,
This
was
was
out of my element.
Same for me.
Awesome,
Yep, same
awesome.
for me.
So something drew you. What I tell people, I said, how did people ask? How did you get the name A Widow Walk? I said, I'm a widow that had to start walking. Within 2 weeks of my husband passing, I was drawn to get outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I realized is how beautiful nature
Oh,
is,
yeah.
Yes,
and
it is.
how good it is to our soul. And you know, we live in an area where we get to see all 4 seasons. And
Yes, we're very
the
blessed.
sun, we need the sun.
Oh my
The
gosh,
mitochondria,
yes.
the sun really helps. And
Yes.
so I'm happy, I'm excited that we are getting closer to the daylight savings thing again.
I don't know if you realize how many deer we have in this area, but I pulled up to like 8 deer in my yard last night.
Well, they're here at my house as
They're
well.
tipping my bird feeders every night.
The deer are frequent visitors here in the city and outside of the city.
Right,
Oh,
because we
yes.
have a lot of woods and
Yes.
and still have a lot of
Yes.
fields around.
And
I live in the trees.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what do you feel like, one, the mindset that it takes to, what do you feel like pushed you to go to the Y?
I was depressed after being married so long, and then we lost our business, JCB Construction. After 44 years, I lost him to Alzheimer's. He didn't know me the last 2 years, but I knew him. I was a home care giver, and we promised each other that we would take care of one another, whoever went first. And I kept my promise to him. He passed away at home. And I lost my 2 boys earlier, 2004, 2005. And we were just best friends, my husband and I. And we talked everything over and cried together. And he was gone. I was alone, even though you have all these grandchildren. And, but they have lives of their own.
That's right.
They don't have time for grandparents. I'm sorry to say, but you know. And I start and think, what was I doing at their age? Yeah, I wasn't visiting my grandparents either. I was gone. And so one day I just went to the Y.
And that's how they met.
Yeah, and I went. I had to wait 6 weeks after my surgery, and then that's part of your journey is to work out. So you don't get a lot of loose skin. And
That's right.
And it's also strength. They want you to do strength training, and it's good for your mind.
It helped my mind so
yeah.
much because I was so depressed.
I had gotten depressed, and I isolated, you know, and that's really bad. And then told Linda, you know, she needs to go out dancing with me this year because last year I just one night decided I was going to go and listen to a band. I went by myself, and the band I had met several years ago with my husband, and you know, I've become very good friends with them. So you know, I try to hit a lot of their shows and you know, go dancing, and you know, like I get out now. Like last night, I met an old friend last night.
Awesome.
You know, just to
have fun,
just to be social.
That's it.
To get out and just be social. You know.
Yes.
And you know, his wife had passed. You know, almost 9 years ago, and like I said, he was a longtime family friend. And I just texted him. I said, you know, what are you doing tonight? You know. And he said, I'm not doing anything. You know. And I said, do you have to work tomorrow? He said, no. I said, well, let's meet up. And I paid for us to have appetizers.
Awesome.
You know, and you know, I didn't even have.
But she initiated.
Yeah, I
initiated
this, because you know, I know that he will not go out if somebody doesn't ask him. But
right.
he does go out on the weekends. But this is the middle of the week.
Right.
So I was like, he might want to get out.
Yeah,
he only lives 5 minutes from there.
That's awesome.
So we had a great time. The people were doing karaoke. They were terrible. They were horrible. A drunken birthday party doing karaoke, but we were just having the best time.
That's
Look,
good.
laughter is medicine.
Yeah.
Laughter is medicine.
It is. It was so fun.
And I'm purposing this year in 2025 to have more fun as well.
Exactly.
I actually, I used to kind of go away without my kids sometimes and just kind of be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just be.
Adult.
And so I told my mom I need to get away.
Yeah.
And so I took 24 hours, if you want to call it, and I actually was working, you know, on this event we have coming up, but I was able to get out of my house, get in a hotel, find a park to take a walk in, get some good food, and it gave me the fuel to really focus on this and knock a bunch of tasks out that could have taken me all week to try to get motivated to do. And so sometimes I think we need a reset a little bit.
Yes,
and,
we definitely do.
And even when Debra is talking about that rule, and this has come up in conversations with widows before about don't make any major decisions in the first year.
Right.
Yes.
But I'm here to tell you that is not always possible.
No, it's not.
No.
And it doesn't always fit each widow or widower's story.
Right.
And I'm just encouraging the listener that if there's something that you're feeling strongly inside to do, forget about the logic or the rules that say that's not right for you or whatever, the general rule, and do it. Because if she wouldn't have made the decision to do something new, and if she wouldn't have made the decision to take her health kind of back in control and even go forward with a serious surgery and then follow the guidelines that are after that, they would not have met. And there was a connection that came and then all of a sudden there, you know, boom, I just pop in and kind of barge into their life. We didn't meet at the Y, but it has sparked something, and I got to tell them that from their conversation in 1 week's time of me running into them, I spoke to another gentleman, and he had told me that the Y really helped him after losing his wife of 59 years. And you know who I'm talking about, Ed Patanesky. And so it really helped him bridge that gap of grieving and living again.
Exactly.
And I said, I've got to go to the Y because I believe that that's another pool of people that have walked through loss and are in these older years, and you have so much wisdom. And so, see, I've lost all my grandparents. So I'm kind of wanting to, like, Who wants to adopt me as their grandchild? You know, and I keep telling that to people. I said,
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of widows. There's a lot, probably more widows than widowers.
That's
but
right.
there are widowers
Yes.
there too. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
this is beneficial to a lot
Yes.
of people.
So
Yes,
I'm
it
coming February 11th. I'm just putting this out there. They're doing, I think it's called a snack and learn, not fully a lunch and learn.
Right.
11 o'clock, February 11th. I will be at the YMCA pitching an idea about an 8-week course once a week. Doing it at the Y after these workouts. It may be a Tuesday or a Thursday. We're still going to see about the sign up. But if you want to, what we're calling it is kind of connecting hearts around the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of what we're doing here. But what I have observed is that these stories like this, they're kind of happening in spurts. A little, you know, they're talking, then maybe some others are talking. But where do we go to actually kind of sit down and ask each other, how is your heart? How is your heart?
Yeah.
And when someone asked me that years back, I was taken aback because I was in my 30s and I had never been asked that before.
Wow.
I had never been asked, how is your heart?
Right.
And it really made me think.
Right.
Yeah.
And so here at the Widow Walk, I like to talk about heart things. And I like to say we do heart things, not we do hard things.
Right.
And that's a phrase. We
That's
do
good.
hard things.
I like
And
that.
I want to make a shirt that says, and I haven't done it yet, that says you did that.
Oh, wow.
You
Okay.
did that.
You did
These
that.
ladies, this mental thing of can I do? Are we capable? When you're feeling depressed, to make the decision to move forward with a surgery that's going to take mental and physical exertion to do this. And she doesn't have a fallback. Okay, she doesn't have a man there at the house to give her that attaboy, that attagirl. She has to step into it for herself. And what is that? That's an empowered move.
And I will tell you also that I'm getting ready to go back to work part-time.
Wow.
At this age.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You're ready.
But, well, I am. But, I mean, I think it'll be good for me.
Yes.
But I also really just want to build my savings back up. Because, you know, I hit it hard over doing some things over the last couple of years. And,
That's
you know,
yeah.
So, you know, if you're physically able and
Yes.
mentally able,
That's right. Do it.
there's no need to
Stop working.
No need to stop working.
That's right.
Like
That's
I
right.
stopped working. Originally, I took early retirement in 2019 because I thought I was going to have to help take care of my parents. And then they ended up doing a different route, moving closer to my sister.
And then your husband got sick.
And then my husband got
Right.
sick the same year.
Right.
So
So it was a setup,
It
not the
was.
way she thought it was.
Then I took care of him for 3 years.
Yes.
And then, you know, it's been 2.5 years. And speaking of heart, like my heart is open again.
That's
it was
so
it
good.
was closed up until I'd say like
Wow.
the last 8 months. Like
Wow.
I feel like I'm ready to move forward with whatever.
Whatever.
With whatever.
And maybe I don't know if you felt that. For me, it was a very physical. Grief was very physical.
Yeah.
And I had never heard that.
Oh, it is.
I had never heard that. And for me, it felt like somebody with heavy
Yes.
toe steel boots on my chest.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And for like a year.
And I couldn't even sleep. I went every night after my husband passed. I couldn't sleep until like 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I would just, you know, I just was like,
I would like hyperventilate, anxiety.
It was just that, you know, it was just like,
I mean, we
and like-
slept together
like-
all these years, and all of a sudden,
It's gone.
well, and then it was
Right.
just like, you know, you are alone now, you know, even though I have family close by.
Right.
I mean, you know, they're not
The
like
safety.
Yeah,
the
it just
safety.
it's-
Oh, yes, you're right. the
Yeah, it
safety.
I felt like a sitting duck. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
yes. Oh, gosh, yes.
And I had to take some things into my own hands, but I won't. Whatever. So I won't get all into it. But there was a funk. Okay, like a funky, like a dark vibe
Yes.
that was trying to hover, and I did not realize, and maybe you came up with this teaching, I don't know, but in the church, we use the term a lot about a husband being your covering.
Yes.
You know, and there's
I felt
God
very protected with
and
my
the
husband.
husband,
Very.
and there was a peace that
Yes.
came with that. And when my husband passed, peace was gone.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is exactly how.
And
I felt.
I
yes, it's how you feel.
I did not know. I didn't carry it.
No.
Oh no. Yeah.
No.
And until he was gone, and I realized it was him.
Oh yeah.
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 And that
that's-
created some paranoia.
Yeah, because exactly.
It does.
That's why I couldn't
Paranoia.
sleep until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Yes, me too.
And that was all very surprising. Okay. And so I use this term that I say that I fought for peace. And I realized that peace is a person.
Yes.
Peace is a person. And if you're a professor of faith, his name is Jesus. He's the
Yes.
Prince of Peace.
Yeah.
Okay. He's the Prince of Peace. And I said,
Yeah.
I need you here.
Exactly.
I need you
Yes.
here now.
Yeah.
And I acknowledged that I thought I was carrying that peace. And I can testify that as people have come in this house, because my husband did pass in the house.
Yeah, mine
and I
did.
used to
Mine
think,
did too.
okay, so I used to think that was really creepy. You know, as an agent, you know, people can get a little superstitious
Yes.
about buying houses. Like, did they die in the house?
Yeah.
And then now I feel like, what better place
Like
to
you-
pass
Exactly.
Then at
in
home.
your home?
Right.
Yes.
That
Surrounded
is
by
the
loved
greatest
ones.
At home.
gift
Yes.
Yeah.
to the one going on is to be surrounded by their loved ones in their home.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
it is the best way to go
It makes me not ever want to leave my house.
for sure.
Oh, me too. Me
For
too.
sure.
I
And-
want to go there.
Exactly.
I
And
want to
so
go to my forever.
no,
home.
we've been to the ICU and seen people. It's not the better way, folks.
No.
You being able to be in your home and however it goes, however those final moments are, and people say, man, it feels good here because there is
Yeah,
this.
everybody says my house has good energy too.
And
Yeah.
I said, praise God. You
Yeah.
know, we fought for this. You
Yes,
know, I
yes.
played my worship music loud for years. And I said, we're getting this like into
yes.
the wall. Like I got a little more intense about some things because, and Wonder Woman came out 2 weeks after my husband passed. I said, if my story could have been in a movie, it would have been this.
It would have been this.
Because that woman, if you've seen that movie, Wonder Woman,
Oh my gosh, yes.
she had to step up and she had to go beyond the limits
Yes.
that they said we can't go beyond here. And she said we have to save the people.
Right.
We have to go beyond here. And her heroism really, I was like, women can do more than we
That's
think
right.
we can. We are capable.
Yep.
And if we can believe in ourselves, and if you can find a few friends and widow
Yes.
warriors, I call us.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah,
you're
we
a
are.
warrior, okay?
Yeah.
We
If
are.
you're making it, and I can say attest, and I've been a widow longer than you guys, which is odd.
I know.
It's odd. So I'm going on 8 years.
Oh,
It
wow.
has been more tiring, okay? So me having children at home and the complexities of that and working and
Wow.
these things, there's been a gift.
Yeah.
It's been empowering. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm
You know you
doing
can do
this,
it. Yeah.
but
Wow.
I do feel the physical fatigue more as one.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, and I feel better now than I have in 20
Right.
years.
Wow. Do you hear this? Her decision to go to the Y
I feel better
and
now than I
step
have in
into
20 years.
Why? Why is that? Because she chose
Yeah.
herself.
Yes.
Yeah, you
She
have to.
chose
And it gets
herself.
to a point
You
where you
act-
have to. If you're not, you're just going to be living in the past,
Yes.
and you're not going to have a future.
That's right.
Yes.
You know,
I
or
had-
a present.
Yeah, like
You know?
I had
Yes.
arthritis all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I don't.
Yeah.
Do you
'Cause
hear
I
this?
exercise.
Yeah, I
Five
It's
days a week.
curable, folks.
Yeah.
You do, the pills
Yeah, I don't
have
take
their
no
place.
medicine. I don't take
But
any medicine.
movement really
awesome.
helps us,
Yeah.
and I believe in it. I mean, I
Oh,
had
I
hip
do.
pain, I had all this stuff, and
Yes.
once I started moving and trying some different workouts,
Yep.
the pain lifted.
Oh,
Yeah,
it did.
it
yeah.
does.
I
It's
am
just
on
amazing.
4 medications. I'm no longer diabetic.
Wow.
I don't take arthritis medicine anymore.
Me
I
neither.
don't take. They actually repaired a hiatal hernia.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I have one of those.
And I
do too.
I had to take over the counter stuff
for
for
that.
years.
Mhm.
I don't take that anymore
Awesome.
Great.
unless I have like a weird day or something.
Right.
Something off. But and I can't remember what the fourth one was.
I mean,
never
do you
could remember
hear
the
this?
I could never remember what the fourth.
You don't
one
need to
was.
remember because you
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah,
take
I
it
know.
anymore.
So I don't take any of
Do
that.
you see this?
No.
Even in that transition, that's a little bit of a grind. Okay, it doesn't feel good. It feels clunky.
Yeah, it does.
There's a
when
weight.
you start, it's
Right.
very.
Yeah, when you
You
first
feel
start,
disjointed.
Yeah, you
Very
feel
hard.
clumsy.
Yeah.
I felt
Totally.
clumsy.
And the amount of women that I've had to tell, if you are in the first 2 years of walking your widow walk, you do not have dementia. Okay, you do not.
It's just a fog.
It's a fog. It's a physiological thing as part of a grief component that I'm still getting language on, the science behind it, because it happened to me, and I said, why are we not talking about this?
Look, I talked to a lady at the Y today, and we started talking about our widow stories. And I've never really talked to her very much before. It's always, hey, how you doing? And we ended up having a really deep conversation, and she told me she was in a fog for 3 years. She says, I don't even remember the first 3 years after my husband passed.
Okay, do you hear that? And another thing is, if you're in a fog, you really can't
Yes.
grieve.
No, and you can't like
Your body's
move
not
forward.
there.
Yeah.
No, your body's not there.
So you're not present, and I fought for that as well. I said, okay, I have acceptance about what's happened in my past. I had to come to acceptance quickly because I had a 5 and 7 year old.
Oh, yeah.
my.
And it was over, and we have to move forward. And so the statement I say is, forward is all we have.
Yeah.
Forward is all
Yep.
we have. But I can't get so focused on, I hope this, I want to get here, that I'm not present.
Oh, yeah. You have
The
to-
present is the hardest part of a widow's walk because every day we are reminded our spouse is not in our presence.
That's
Right.
true.
And
True.
and that for some is too big of a realization to accept. So you take your brain somewhere else. You go either to a future place or you go to a past
yeah.
where your spouse was.
And I just can't live in the past.
And I found for me, it was not healthy. It is
Yeah.
not the healthier way
Yeah.
and you know what happens? I think that our brain starts to make up stories of what the past used to be actually like.
Yes.
You almost think better about what it was than it actually was.
Yeah, that's
Does
true.
that make
That's
sense?
True. So
like
true.
we marginalize the hard about it
yes.
because we'd still rather have that than what we have now.
Yeah, because nobody's
Yes.
marriage is perfect.
Right.
I mean, nobody's
Yeah.
life is together like
Right.
that is perfect, but
It's still better than what we're doing.
I would
Yes.
give anything for him to be
Totally.
still be here. And
That's
be
right.
healthy.
Oh, me
That's
too.
right. That's right.
I mean, my husband was 7 years younger than I was. But it was never an issue with us.
Right.
And it was, when you marry a younger man like that, you don't expect him to
That's
go
right.
first.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
it's
right.
nothing that I really thought too much about.
No.
But I just was like, wow, I mean, he died when he was 58.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's young folks.
58
My husband
years
was
old.
43
Oh.
and I'm 43 now.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I'm stepping this birthday, it was last year now, but I am now living the days he never lived.
Right.
Yes, you are.
He was 43 in 6 months and now I'm that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, this feels a little eerie,
I imagine
when you're crossing some of these dates, if you want to call
yeah,
it,
yeah.
Yes.
or like you're saying, when he was 58. Well, when you turn 58, does it trigger something?
Well, his mother also passed at age 58.
Whoa!
So that was always, it was kind of a very odd, bizarre
right.
Yeah.
thing.
Well, my husband's cousin, first cousin, had passed suddenly, I think 3 years before him. And so and it was a heart thing as well. Like his wife was 7 months pregnant, went next door to her
wow.
dad's
Oh,
house,
my.
came back, and he was gone. So there was a sudden death with my husband's cousin, and then I found him gone suddenly. And so there is some tests that they can run that I should do with my kids at some point. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like you don't want to see these cycles continue, mm-hmm. but then also we can't live in fear.
No.
We cannot, and I refuse. For my kids in this mm-hmm. house, I said, mm-hmm. we will live.
Yes.
We cannot live in the past mm-hmm. and have our best days be
mm-hmm.
what
Back
used
there.
to be. Like,
mm-hmm.
remember when
mm-hmm.
we used to go with Daddy to the beach? Well, we're still going to the beach.
Right.
We are still living life.
Mm-hmm.
And we went skiing last month
I saw those
with my kids.
Oh,
this is the first time we've done it. It was on a bucket list for mm-hmm. me, and my widow friend mm-hmm. got me tickets for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't even need any more gifts mm-hmm. because that's a love language to say, I want to take you on an adventure. Mm-hmm. The adventure was a little bit more stressful than we had expected. I won't get into that. But the actual skiing part of the trip was beautiful.
It looked like
and the kids did an amazing job. It was the fluffiest snow I had ever skied mm-hmm. on, and they didn't even do any training or whatever, and they just got out there. And they did it, and they weren't scared.
That's what kids do.
Yes, and so those are building blocks mm-hmm. of building mm-hmm. confidence in these kids
yes.
and myself mm-hmm. to keep mm-hmm. getting back out there. Mm-hmm. So as we finish up this conversation, is there anything that you want to encourage the listener? I think this whole conversation has, but if you have some words of wisdom, we want them here today.
I'm going to start first, if that's okay. One thing I will say is that my husband did not want a funeral. Mm. My husband, he chose to have a celebration of life while he was living.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So when we found out, I finally asked his doctor, I said, look, you just need to let us know what his actual prognosis is. What's his life expectancy at this point mm-hmm. after he had been through chemo and all, mm-hmm. So much. And he said he's got 3 to 6 months to live.
Wow.
So we were blessed that we had that time to talk everything out, say mm-hmm. whatever we wanted to say to each mm-hmm. other, ask questions, mm-hmm. and we did. And I told him, I said, well, do you want to have a celebration of life while you're living? He goes, yes, I would love to do that. Mm. So I planned a celebration of life, and he was a country boy, so he wanted to have a big barbecue cookout. Mm-hmm. So we rented some shelters out at that Chesapeake Jubilee Park, and people came, family members came, friends came. We had about close to 130 people come off and on the whole day. I hired a guy I used to go to high school with, has his own barbecue company, and so he did the catering and all. And we had family come from 5 different states, just for the day, just for the day, or they would stay to visit. Mm-hmm. But he got to see everybody and meet people he worked with, mm-hmm. or he was a realtor for 18 years. So of course he had a lot of clients and his brokers and all that came, and then he also worked for an HVAC company. He was a warehouse manager, and he had earned his 5-year mm-hmm. Certificate that was presented to him that day. So that's what we chose to do, so that he could have that while he was living.
I think that's wonderful.
Because
I think it's wonderful.
he didn't want a funeral, and he wanted to be cremated. Wow. So I'm just saying, ask them what they want.
Ask them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, ask them what they want.
And sometimes we don't know it's coming, and so we don't get that opportunity.
Exactly.
And I've also heard with
mm-hmm.
so many that when they passed, there had been a recent reunion mm-hmm. or some mm-hmm. type of gathering. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, wow, he kind of got to say goodbye mm-hmm. to a lot of people, not knowing it was going to be.
Right.
So I have not really heard. I've heard of it, but I've never had someone
mm-hmm.
tell me
a
celebration of life while I was living.
It was a beautiful thing. It was really nice.
And why not? Because they would like to hear these things mm-hmm. and to take those into the next life instead of, oh man, we wished he could have heard all of this.
And it was a fun day for everybody.
Yes.
It wasn't dreary. Mm-hmm. Everybody got to talk to him, and he was still able to talk to everybody.
It's beautiful.
He was in a wheelchair and everything, but he still could talk to everybody.
Awesome.
It rained that morning, which kind of wasn't great, but it turned out to be a beautiful day.
Afternoon.
And so we had it in from noon. I think from like noon to 5,
Wow.
something like that. So people
Yep.
would come and go
Open
all day
house,
long.
yep.
Yeah, you know, so it was really nice.
What are your
That's good.
encouragements?
Oh, my encouragement is, gosh, don't give up.
Mm.
God will not forsake you.
That's so good.
He's always going to be there
Yep.
with you no matter what, and He's going to hold you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's what I have
Yep.
to say.
That
for
is
everybody.
that is true.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I don't think we need to say anything more. I mean, she said it more than enough in that little handful of words that don't give up, that He's got your back, and He's really gone before us. And if we can connect to the Father, and I like to say to His heart, then He will put things on our heart to do.
Yes.
And when we do them, we start coming back to life again.
Yep.
We
Yes,
start
we
coming
do.
back to life again, and we start feeling that energy,
Yeah.
as she's saying, to like open yourself back to
Yep.
things.
Yes.
It's hard to do, but you know.
And if you feel numb, know that it's for a limited time.
Yeah. Keep moving forward.
That's it.
Yes.
And movement helps the numbness to thaw out.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I felt that. I literally felt myself thawing out. And I don't want to say
Yes.
that from the Frozen movie had come out. I was like, oh my gosh, we got to let it go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
we
Yeah,
got
I
to
felt
let
that
it
way
go so that we can start
Live.
going to
Start
live. This
living
is
again.
a life after death story we're hearing here. And I am once again profoundly honored to have widows of this stature to tell stories that bring life. I hope you're encouraged by this. Tune in next week for more stories with Micah on Mondays, and we're going to see you again soon. Come and see us at the Y. They're there on the daily. I'm more kind of walking about, but you're going to see us. And if you see Debra or Linda, please go up to them and tell them thank you for what you shared. Thank you for showing me what a widow warrior looks like. And tune in next week. Bye.